All right, you're all set.
Okay, this is our meeting for February. And can we have roll call, please? Alexis, you're getting the bare minimum tonight.
Steve Clockey.
Here.
Ed Halowinko. Okay. Matt Pence.
Here.
And Heather Breslin.
Here.
All right, so you have 4, which is a quorum. First on the agenda is new applications up for receipt. There is one. Application number S24-632 at 35 Weatherbell Drive for this Mr. Pascarella. It's a corrective action filling and grading in and adjacent to a wetland and water course. And so just to kind of quickly review the by the title of corrective action, you know, that there was a notice of violation, and then I think an order issued to the property owner following some work in the rear of the property. There is a wetland and water course to the rear. When constructing a deck or replacing a deck and expanding the deck that was at the rear of the property, the property owner also did some grading and filling and ended up pushing the lawn area out towards the wetland, and therefore was issued a notice of violation. Mr. Pascarella, if you'd like to show them your application, or I can share my screen and show them some of the stuff that you submitted, or you can.
I'm not good at Zooms, so
Okay.
I will yield to you.
So again, this is just the receipt of the application. And let me just navigate to so commissioners, you can review all of the submitted documents on the webpage, but I'll start with a location. So Weatherbell Drive is located in the Cranberry area. Start with a let's see if this is going to work. Okay, so I have do not have the best or fastest internet connection, so we're going a little slow here. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is Chestnut Hill Road over here. This is the Wilton and Westport boundary, and Weatherbell is one of the roads off of Chestnut Hill Road, or Route 53, and this is a large wetland complex that you can see here. This is Westport. This is the line. Here's the property at 35. Can zoom in. And please ignore all the scribbles. I use this aerial map to kind of get my bearings and do some basic measurements. So, oops, sorry. So this is the property as it looks today. Hard. Let me go to your application materials, I since that's not working. As directed in the enforcement order, the property owner did have the wetlands field delineated by J. Fain and Associates in December, if I remember right, November.
Yeah, it was November.
And so this is the wetland sketch. It shows a flag number 1 through 8 kind of going across the property at this change in slope. Shows an upland pocket here. There's a water course approximately in this location that's not shown on the wetland delineation map. I did ask the soil scientist to confirm the approximate location of his flags, because this topography is actually a 2016 topography. So this break in slope is no longer there. It's been pushed out with the fill to somewhere about here is where that break of slope now is. And Mr. Fain confirmed that he did not dig through any fill, that he placed the line at the drop in slope. So there's that. And then I don't know if Mr. Pascarella, if you would like to read your revised letter or just kind of give a overview of your narrative, or maybe what you propose for future activities.
I won't go into reading the whole letter because I don't have it in front of me other than what
You
you
can
have.
just summarize it if you want.
But basically, the what we found was in replacing the deck was that there was soil erosion around the sonotubes, and the property had been depressed some in that area. And then when we put in the we'll call them Bigfoots, but they're precast concrete piers, we had to stabilize the soil some. And in doing so, we rebuilt underneath the deck so it would hold the deck. And then some of that fill up near the upper part of the deck was raked out, and so that it would slope down some. And then we had some trees removed that were all leaning towards the house and diseased and so on and so forth. And what we found was that the property had, sloped off some. So we brought in about 80 yards of organic material to stabilize the water runoff that was coming down from other properties in the road and so on and so forth, because that soil had eroded. So we went up to some of the existing line on the left side of the property, if you will, towards the 37. And like I mentioned to Alexis, I know there was some debris in that area. I'll call it non-organic debris that consisted of old construction equipment parts, if you will, and other types of things. So really over there on the left side, all we did was we put about maybe 2 inches of topsoil over what was already existing over there. And then on the left side, there was a bunch of, probably from the driveway, areas that, the soil had eroded. So we went out a little bit over that way. And again, that was, not in the wetlands area. It was upland of that. I guess you would say it was in the setback area. And then we added lawn to that area.
Mr.
The lawn
Pascarelli,
that was-
can I interrupt for 1 second? Alexa, could you go back to the site plan, please? So we can get or were you having trouble sharing that? I'm sorry to interrupt. I just
am
was hoping
having,
for some reference.
yep, I'm,
You want me? I can share it from
click
mine if
share
you
screen.
want.
Sure. I'm kind of,
Okay. Let me get mine moved over to a bigger screen here. All right. I will share. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure everyone. I don't think I can share. Can I share? Share screen. Sorry. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank
So we talked about, can everyone see that now?
Yes,
Okay. All right. So I'm
So-
sorry, Ms. Pascal, keep going, please.
that's fine. That's fine. So where the number 1 is, that was already existing.
This here's
area-
number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And then so where he comes down, it sort of jets out towards number 8, if you will, towards
Down here.
the back of the property. And so on the number 1, that was existing, and then
What was
over
existing
toward-
there? I'm sorry.
So where the line is,
This line here that goes from 1 to 8?
yeah, that was existing.
What,
and
existing
then-
what? I'm sorry.
That was existing at grade. That's where
So
the,
no grading was done at this line between mark 1 and 8.
well, it was, if you go to, I'll say about where the deck, the old deck juts out here.
Right here, right
Yeah,
there.
right over there.
Yep.
Yeah, from there, we, the line sort of goes straight, but the delineation line that Mr. Fain did, jets out more back towards the property. So we didn't fill, according to his map, we didn't fill any wetlands there.
Okay.
We just worked within the setback area on the right side of the property, if you will.
Back
which is
here
down
maybe.
on number 8. So yeah,
Okay,
so
back here.
that whole area, that whole red area was not touched, but
Okay.
for safety reasons, just with the amount of ruts that were in the previously existing lawn, if you will, wasn't necessary. We pushed that out so that the water wouldn't run off as quickly as it did.
And so can you just help me out? What's uphill and what's downhill here? Is the house uphill
The
from
house
back
is
here?
uphill. The house is
Okay,
uphill.
so this is a downhill grade from the house down
Mhm.
into this area, which we're assuming is wetlands. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I? Sorry, go ahead.
The red area is more level, I would say, than it is.
Yeah,
downhill.
the topo lines space out a bit and it kind of flattens out down there. Yep, I can
Mhm.
see that. Can I hop in for a second? Because we're gonna lose Alexis at 7:30 tonight, and I want to try to get through everything, even though I realize I was the one responsible for making us start late. I've gotten the impression from the letter that you wrote that there's no ill intentions here on your end, and
Mhm.
so, and I think I want to share the same from our perspective, that if whatever happened, and we want to work with you to get it resolved and get it in the rearview mirror.
I'm with you 100% on that.
Awesome. The one request I would have regarding that, though, is it's hard for us to make decisions. Well, it's hard for us to understand the situation and then make decisions, and then it's hard for staff to follow up on those decisions without documentation that clearly illustrates what was, what is, and what will be. And unfortunately, there's a price tag associated with that, unless you're good with AutoCAD or whatever. But it really comes down to either if you're going to submit materials that you're generating yourself, we're gonna need a lot more detail on them, but really the direction I would push you is unfortunately to hire a professional to give you just a bare bones site plan as to where all this stuff is. Including like what you've planted and what you want to plant, what I saw in the letter. That's really gonna be, I don't want to say the only way that we can get this moving forward, but close. Is that at all possible, you think?
Um, depending on costs.
Yeah, I know it's not free. But I mean, it is hard for us to, we also are held to, public scrutiny. And so we can't just say, yeah, okie dokie for things that we aren't entirely sure about because we'll get grilled for it. So it works both ways.
So the question I have is, does the town have any previous site plan or anything to that?
For your property?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't believe so. You can, that's one of the first things that is if anyone has previous permits where they've done work that would have required a survey. If you want to stop by, we can certainly do a full search of all previous applications, either by, I guess not by you, since you would have known if you had given us a site plan, right, at planning and zoning. But we can look at is to see if there were any permits filed prior to your relatively recent purchase of the house. My recollection was that there were not.
okay,
And I know that we've that for the zoning half, I know that we've done a search for a survey in relation to the LP tank that you have, that we're still, zoning still trying to confirm that it's not in the side setback. So I know that there is not an existing survey that's been done, and unfortunately, that's often the first step to getting a site plan, is having an accurate base map. But
okay. So you're looking for a base
you're
map?
welcome to call me tomorrow and we can confirm that that the city hall does not have an existing survey. And I'll look to see if there's any site plan at all.
Okay.
All right.
We can do that. I can't, unfortunately, like we talked, this is busy season has started, so it's tough. It's gonna start getting a little tougher for me, but so I'm sure we'll work out some time where I can stop down.
Okay.
Okay. And then my only other concern with this, and I think I mentioned it in my staff or the preliminary review letter, is making sure that the wetland delineation accurately reflects the extent of wetlands. It does sound like Mr. Fain stopped at the toe of slope, the toe of fill slope, and didn't go into the fill. So I'll continue to follow up with him to make sure that I understand the extent of his investigation, but it sounds like he may have just gone to where the native soil was clearly present and then stopped there, because his flags kind of do pretty much follow the new edge of slope and the boulder wall, loose boulders that are at that slope.
And the intent is to identify just how much fill would, in theory, need to be taken out in order to restore the native or the wetland soil back to the condition it had been previously. Right. Okay. And there's not much, and there's no decisions we can make tonight about this anyway. It's just a receipt of the corrective action filing, and just trying to get the wheels rolling here.
Okay.
Okay. All
Do you
right,
have
so
any more
I'll check
questions,
on
Ms.?
the wetland delineation and try to get a better understanding of that for you in advance of the next meeting. And then, Mr. Pascarella, if you want to call or stop in, see if there's anything that can be of assistance.
Yes, I don't know. I know next week is gonna be tight and I'll be traveling for a week after that. So try to get this taken care of.
Well, we
as
meet
quickly.
on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And I
Mhm.
believe, Alexis, there is a clock that starts ticking at some point that requires
Today,
us to,
right?
the clock
But
starts
the-
ticking today.
Yes, so the commission has 65 days to render a decision or commence a public hearing if they determine, once they have enough information to determine whether it stays an intermediate application or if it warrants a significant regulated activity. So they need to either start that public hearing, or if no public hearing is required, make a decision within 65 days of today. That can be extended by the applicant for up to another 65 days, if necessary, but.
We don't like to
generally,
push
you-
too hard up against that,
don't
'cause
wanna-
then we
you
really
don't wanna
get
push those
pushed into a
deadlines,
corner
right.
and.
Okay.
But just so you know, that's our schedule, is we meet the
Okay.
second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And whatever you can work out with your schedule, I'm sure Alexis will do everything in her power to
Yes.
help you.
Yes, Alexis and I will agree that we'd like to get this behind us as
Good.
sooner than later, but and I will, if you have me on the agenda for next meeting, I will do everything I can to attend that.
Great.
I can't, at this point, I can't guarantee anything because I don't know what we're gonna find when we get to where we're going and have to do things. I'll explain that at a later date, but if need be, but yes.
Okay, great.
Is that
Well,
it?
thanks for joining us. And
All right,
yeah,
well, thank you for your time. I hope everybody enjoyed their sledding in the snow as much as I did shoveling, so got my exercise in.
good. Sounds
Okay,
great. Okay, have a good night. Thank you.
thank you. Alexis, I will talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, 5 Nathan Hill Drive.
All right, so you received this application. I think it was your first meeting of January. And at the receipt, you didn't really express any concerns. I think Bill Kinney is here representing the property owners, as well as the property owners are here. Mr. Kinney's firm has come up with a replanting plan for the area that was kind of maintained as an expansion of lawn over the years adjacent to the pond. They're proposing a mix of 16 native shrubs and about 180 native plugs of forbs and grasses, and then an overseeding with the native seed mix. I did include a draft resolution with conditions for your consideration tonight if you want to make a decision. It is not a decision deadline, but if you're ready to vote, you can. And like I think I mentioned, the whole crew is here this evening if you have any questions about the proposal.
Since your internet is slow, Alexis, Mr. Kinney, do you want to take charge and highlight maybe
Sure.
for the client, whomever
Yeah, I
wants
can do that. Good evening. I will. But I agree with everything Alexis, how she summarized everything. And that's the. Well, let me, you know what? I'm gonna start here. So this is just east of Wilson Cove.
Actually, I'm not quite
Still-
seeing anything yet. It's a black screen for me. And I can
Oh.
share, and you can just drive, be in the back seat driving
what
if you'd like.
happened?
Oh, there we
Oh,
go. Now we see
There
it.
we go.
Nice.
We've got an aerial photo now.
Oh, you do? Okay, okay. So, property's just east of Wilson Cove. Nathan Hale Road is right down there. Like,
I'm not seeing a mouse, unfortunately.
okay.
Maybe if we just get straight to the drawings.
Sure. Here we go.
So let me know if you want me to share my screen. I have the full application. There you go.
There.
There's Nathan Hale Drive is shown on the bottom of the screen here, and north is to the left. Their home is up to the left, north of this, and there's a small
Oh,
man.
we lost it again, Bill. Why don't I share my screen?
Okay.
Would you? I can't do it while someone else is sharing, though.
All right. I'm gonna stop share.
Zoom is all about manners. Don't rush anybody off. Okay. How's that?
So
Perfect.
fast.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. Go. Where would you like me to
This
go here?
this is fine. So on this drawing, you can see the site location in the top right-hand corner on Wilson's Cove. And then right below that is a rectangle showing the entire property. And then it shows that we're going to focus on the southern half of the property, which is the right, where there's a small man-made pond. At the southwest corner of that pond, there was some removal of vegetation. And so which is the bottom right there. Just
Maybe
to the
here?
bottom of the pond.
Yeah,
yep.
the hatched area.
Yep.
And
Okay. These
so,
areas here. Okay.
Alexis had identified the area that she was concerned with and the area that she asked for planting. So we worked with her and took her guidance and developed this planting plan that includes shrubs and ground covers. There is I think a view shed. I'm trying to remember exactly, but Brooks or Sarah, the property owners, can confirm that there's a neighbor to the east that's above the drawing that has a view across the water. So we are not proposing trees in this area, but we're proposing to eliminate the lawn and do a planting similar to the photos that you see on the right. The photos on the right is a property in Greenwich where we did a similar planting. Shrubs and native vegetation with a border of boulders to help clearly mark the boundary between the lawn and the planting and to ensure its protection in the future.
Bill, could you remind us why the hatched area has the shape that it does? Why was this line drawn where it was?
So it's based on a review of aerial photos, and it was a review that both Alexis did and we did, and so that's the area where the vegetation was removed without approval.
Got it. Okay. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there more that we want to look at, or is that
That's
basically
pretty much
cover
it. You know, we have a plant list, and so that's pretty much it.
Oh, we don't have Commissioner Brown tonight to review the plant list. But Alexis, you're happy with selections? Do you know?
Yes, they're all native plants and they have a standard plant list and schedule with proposed number, size, and type of planting. All good.
Great. Okay. So I'm looking at the draft memorandum dated the 8th, recommending that we, outlining that we would grant this resolution. Looks like we've got a bond, maintaining of the buffer. Boulders have to be of certain size. Got to be done in 6 months. Need photo documentation, and you're going to let the agency know if anything changes. Commissioners, does anything jump out at you as being something that we can't agree upon in there? Okay.
No,
I can't see you all, and now I can't even move my window.
it looks
Um,
good.
All right, so I'm going to move to approve this memorandum as drafted for S23-630.
Well, second.
Any discussion? Again, I don't see you all, so you're gonna have to chime in if you, oh, there we go. Now maybe I see you all. Okay, no discussion, let's take it to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Ed, are you and I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
All right, unanimous. And I don't know, I'll stop sharing my screen. What else do we say here?
That's it.
Great,
We
Thank
say
you.
thank you.
thank you. It makes our lives easier.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks, Bill.
Okay. Thank you all.
Good night.
Right.
Okay, S23 631 207 West Rocks Road. West Rocks Road. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
All right, so the property owner, William O'Connor, is here. And this is a corrective action application. You had received this application previously, and at the receipt, you had a discussion with the property owner and suggested that he provide a more complete application as far as the site plan and the locational information regarding the extent and scope of the work that was previously done without a permit and what would be done in the future. And William, I can either share my screen to show your updated plans, or you are welcome to share your
That would be
screen.
great, Alexis, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, just because
Okay.
it's easier that way. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Or do you all want
And
me to
then I
share
see
again?
that there's a second William O'Connor is
That's
and
that's gonna be actually
that
Nick Longo, owner
Longo?
of
Okay.
Nick
South-
Longo, I actually did
Oh.
the work. The
Oh.
just the pulling of the stumps and the grading off.
All right. Second, let's see if I can. I'm feeling good about my internet.
Look at that. My name changed. Nice.
That we can do. And let's see. All right.
There it is.
There's no, where are we? Okay, oh, that was you. Okay, so we have a revised narrative. And if you want to maybe just kind of summarize that while I scroll through to, I think you have some sketch maps that you've attached. That's all right. So maybe if you want to just describe what we're
Sure.
looking at each of these.
Absolutely. Like I said, yeah, that gentleman to the lower corner of me is actually Nick Longo, owner of Ralph Longo Construction, my project manager. So basically, back in September, when we, started this whole project, it was pretty much just to conduct removal of dangerous and obviously not safe, friendly, personal, and obviously property wise trees in the backyard. And to do this, we had to have Nick's company actually bring out a tree expert contractor through his company that he usually deals with privately. And they did an inspection of the trees that you can obviously see in this pre-existing landscape map. Pretty much what they deemed was that a lot of the trees in question, to total 5 trees, the center one right there is actually going to be a kind of a dual tree, and then the 2 in the back, and then actually 3 in the back, and then the one on the side over there consisted of rot, decay, angles that would actually cause hazard to the whole property itself and or personal property of our house, deck, people in the back. So basically what was going to be done was going to be the removal of these trees, and then obviously the fill to then level off where the large holes would be. So pretty much, obviously, to that point, we remove the trees, and while doing the filling of the holes and whatnot, obviously the leveling off is when the violation came about. So that's when we pretty much halted work. Obviously, you can see kind of what our existing landscape is of what Alexis is seeing visiting the property, what the photos that we have. I don't know if they're on this slide. We have
Yep, I think
basically
they're further down.
yeah, so we have pretty much real-time photos of what the backyard looks like, not today, obviously, with the snow, but yeah, so as you can see, it's all delineated right now with the silt fencing of where actually Bill Kenny was able to show his wetland location. The removal of trees was outside, that area. And now with regards to that area, we have our project in place with the proposal, as you can see on the proposal map, with regards to restoration to that area, and actually a solid delineation of a rock formation with a 5-foot buffer approximate, and then obviously a plant list that I relay in the narrative and on the map right there.
And so just to kind of go through, so this pink flag, and I think this pink flag, and then there's one there.
There's two in the way back on the fencing, correct? Just behind the stone wall.
Okay. And then the stone wall, I'm not sure if the stone wall is actually your property line. I know we had talked about this briefly out at the field.
Yeah, it's actually not. There's a deer fencing, probably, I want to say 15 feet behind that actually delineates the property boundary. That's just obviously a stone structure that was from, originally constructed a property. But yeah, we actually goes further into the woods.
Do you have a survey or?
There was a
remember.
survey conducted previously. There's actually markings in the back by the
Okay.
previous
And
property.
do you have a copy of the survey?
I do not know.
No, okay.
Who would have a copy of the survey?
I would not have that answer, unfortunately.
Town clerk, Alexis? Or no, I mean, if the survey was done, it
so,
doesn't mean
yeah.
that they submitted it, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know who surveyed it.
But there's a pin or something, Mr. Connor, you're saying.
Yes, correct.
And then I think there's some more photos.
So where
For
that
the-
silt fence is basically demarcating the
Correct.
wetland. Is that what we're
Wetland
saying?
on this side,
Yeah.
Correct.
then buffer area on this side.
And you'll see the existing lawn too, so you'll see where the wetlands is. We really didn't
I
disturb.
see.
There wasn't really any fill put there.
Well, let's put a pin in that. Okay, so there's two separate things. Was it disturbed? I would probably say yes, because it looks like the silt fence goes straight through a big dark brown patch.
Sure,
So
correct.
disturbed will say yes.
Correct. Filled
Okay.
over? No.
Filled, no. Do we
Yeah.
have confirmation of that, Alexis? Are we willing to accept that based on?
We have. Who was it? I think Bill Kinney's group did a wetland delineation. So Bill Kinney or someone from his firm went out at the end of November.
Yeah, that was actually Mr. Kenny came out.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. I didn't have-
So he
but
notes
on there.
that, let's see. Primary vegetative cover is lawn with other ornamental. Southern portion of the property is mostly unvegetated due to recent clearing. One wetland system was identified and delineated in the southwest corner.
Alexis, if I may jump in really quick.
Mhm.
So the clearing, yes, the darker portion, yes, that is obviously disturbed. We can obviously see that by the photos. The clearing itself, there was no vegetation prior to us moving in. We only been here a year. So that was actually cleared prior to with I guess the previous owners. Unfortunately, we bought during the COVID craziness, basically. And when we moved in, that whole area was actually that dirt you kind of see there, where you could kind of see there's almost a cliff where it goes towards the fencing, which actually goes to the water course. And that is actually the beginning part is lower than that. So we actually unfortunately that we don't know what was taken out of there, but obviously our plan is to now restore it and make it better for that corner and eco-friendly watercourse area, just because of the plants and the soil and all the other, eco-friendly environmental stuff we want to place in there and keep it protected, basically.
Okay, Alexis, so did Mr. Kenny, I'm sorry, did he make any
So
comments
he
about the
doesn't, he
function
does
of the
not
area?
note, Phil, so he does not,
Doesn't actually address it. You think
no, he
that's,
doesn't really confirm nor,
Well, that right there is his soil sample right there now.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, this
Right.
is just a description of,
Explanation.
what the
Yep.
characteristics of the typical,
Yeah.
of the map units. And
Yeah,
so typically, he found, it is the Ridgeberry Lister Whitman. And these are kind of its, average
yeah, I mean,
depth.
really,
high
that,
water
that whole
table.
area was pretty much just used kind of to stock those logs from that tall tree in the center of the lawn. That's really, and then it's really disturbed because they wanted the delineation test holes excavated there. So that's really the main disturbance that was caused, which I really begged Bill not to do. And he was like, well, they want it. And I'm like, well, can't you do it by hand? I was like, well, anyway.
Okay, so because we don't have anything that says that, X number of inches or X number of yards were placed
It's
in the
supposed to be
wetland.
all boulders.
Hold on, Mr. Longo. Hold tight, big boy.
Yes.
Hang tight. So Alexis, because we don't have anything in our possession that we can refer to imply that the grade was changed at all, in that particular area, at least within the wetland, I don't think there's, I guess my question would be, my next, I would expect there to be some sort of remediation that includes ground cover, which I assume we saw in a previous diagram. Is that true, guys?
Correct.
Okay. Fine. Okay, and then what's happening?
Well, no, I don't
Upland.
think there was ground cover. There were, some shrubs proposed.
Okay. Do we think shrubs are quite enough, or are we worried about invasives creeping in there with all that disturbed soil?
I think, a seed mix would be, good.
Okay, Mr. O'Connor, you're okay.
Sounds
So
good.
I won't speak for everybody else, but I'm not sure I can pull the trigger on this one tonight to go forward. I think maybe we need one more round of sprucing up and a little bit with the documentation, getting things a little closer to a place that, I'll speak for myself, makes me feel a little more comfortable. So okay, so we talked about, if anybody's taking notes, we talked about no change to grade within wetland,
Within the wetland, but
within wetland,
the upland review area, correct.
and then suggest adding native ground cover to plan. By the way, I'm taking these notes for me. I'm not taking them for you, Mr. O'Connor. So I'm assuming you're soaking this up so we can next time get you what you need. Okay, so I'm sorry, Alexis, keep going. I was going to talk about
I don't know if you, right, so you have some, vegetation removal within a portion of the wetland. Filling adjacent to the wetland.
And the filling adjacent to the wetland, just so we're on the same page. When we're talking about the brown squiggly area.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and then I see elevation marks in there, so 0.5 foot, 1 foot, 1.5 foot. So it looks like if we're going from left to right, we're saying that no fill was added to the left corner of the site, right at the wetland there, and then there's a slow, smooth grade upward to what is actually the south, but it's to the right on the drawings.
Correct.
That's where we're at. Okay, so So just for your education, Mr. O'Connor, the wetland obviously is something we would prefer everyone to stay out of. The upland review area, though, is the 50 feet outside of the wetland, or the delineated wetland. So the reason for that is because nature doesn't work in straight lines, right? And so anything that happens near the wetland can also affect the wetland itself.
Correct.
And so just for my education, how many big trees did we remove?
Those 5 right there. One, the X marks actually you can see on that.
Yeah.
Oh, the X marks.
Those 5, correct,
Okay, X equals, and it's probably in the legend, isn't it? I'm sorry.
correct.
Lexus, could you zoom out just one tick? Remove tree. Got it. Okay. And so, Mr. Longo, your guy who looked at those trees, is he a certified arborist?
The tree removal company. Yeah.
Well, whoever went in there and said he's got to go.
Yeah.
Do you have a letter
I don't-
from an arborist, maybe?
I don't have a letter from the arborist, but I didn't at the
Could you get
time.
one?
I didn't realize that he would need the letter from the arborist for the tree that was like, it was only like 10, 15 feet from his house or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we didn't realize that the wetlands were there at the time.
Yep.
So we didn't really realize that this would come into play.
Happens all the time.
Because
Could
it
you get a
wasn't,
letter?
It
So we
wasn't
have
like a
something on
town
file?
tree, you know what I mean?
Yep. Could you get a letter?
I'm sure we could.
We can get a letter from a certified arborist that says those 5 trees were, falling down or a risk to person or property.
I'm sure we could.
Mr. O'Connor, this is your job. Or your
Yeah,
house.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the gentleman who did the work, it's just, unfortunately we're kind of, I'm kind of stuck here because, I've seen obviously what the requests have been. I'm just kind of seeing what we need further.
Yep. And I'm laying it out as straight as I can
Yeah.
for you.
I'm just trying to get, I'm very questioned right now.
Oh, well, what's your question?
No, I just said I'm very questioned right now.
About.
Just in general, just speaking in general of what's the next step here.
Oh, I see. All right. So,
Yeah.
so what I'm trying to do is, in order for the Inland Wetland Agency and staff to be willing to adopt a resolution that resolves this, a corrective action that resolves this violation, we've got to have our ducks in a row. And part of that is having justification for approving whatever we end up approving or rejecting, and B, documentation to follow that up that passes muster, at some level, right? So what I'm telling you is, as far as the ground cover within the wetland goes in the disturbed area, that's something that I'll speak for myself, and no other commissioners have disagreed with me. Chime in, everybody, if you want to. I'm just trying to keep things moving. That is something we'd be concerned about, just putting a couple of shrubs in there and then not doing anything else. So if you were able to update your proposed solution to include native ground mix in there, and Alexis can probably give you a link to the right mix, then that's going to help you as far as approving this resolution. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then I would say that I know that in your narrative, you kind of point out, 2 to 3 plants of various species. I'd encourage you to have a planting schedule, kind of like we saw in the last application. So propose a not a range of plants, but a specific number of plants, and give their
Well, I was going to go off the recommendation.
Let her finish, guys. Hold on. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Alexis.
The commission generally requires plant shrubs to be a minimum of 36 inches or 3 feet in height at the time of
Right.
planting. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not this is not my field of expertise. So this was going to be just approximate valuation because of the fact that I don't know what is necessary to
Yep.
be in there to be sustainable and protected. Obviously, this was, just drawn up as approximate values. And I was just
Yep.
going to obviously go off your guys' word, what you would recommend, because we want to amend this.
Yep, that's what you're getting right now.
Yeah, and so I'd say that generally for a restoration, they're looking at plants to be spaced no more than at the time of planting, because it takes a while for them to fill in, 5 to 6 feet off center. So you can go back to the area that you're planting. And so you're just proposing plants within the wetland itself, right?
Correct.
And then determine that area and then come up with the number of plants if they were
So the large, oops, sorry.
5 to 6 feet off center.
No.
Which is pretty
So-
tight.
So the large planter isn't necessarily required. Really, you want the planter to be in the wetlands area, 5 to 6 feet, spaced 5 to 6 feet apart with 36-inch plants.
Maximum 5 to 6 feet apart. So tighter is
Yeah.
actually better.
Within
And
4.
then what is left exposed, we're gonna say get that ground cover growing, so we don't have a bunch of nasty crap that you're just gonna have to go in there and rip out later.
Mixed down,
What's that?
native mix thrown down.
Yeah, but just keep in mind, thrown down and then maintained and established, because there's gonna be a bond
Right.
that Mr. O'Connor is gonna hold for the next 2
Right.
years at least,
Or-
or we're gonna hold for him.
Can I ask a quick question? I just want to be sure that we're clear. We're talking about the same areas here. There's the wetland and then there's the review area, right? And is that delineated on, like, I think that to me, that's where the trees, at least if I'm following this, I'm a little sick and out of it, so I apologize. But if I follow this map, there's not a delineation of the 50-foot here. And I think a lot of those trees might fall in that, and so is that what we're looking to,
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm trying to take baby steps. I'm
You're in the
starting inside
wetland.
the wetland.
Okay,
I'm
I
still in the
just was,
wetland.
yep. I was like, you were in the wetland. I just didn't know if we need to.
Right, so
So
these
then-
are, the 3 are at different scales, but so they're not at a standard scale, but there is a bar scale that you can use to measure off 100 feet.
Yeah, okay.
And you're right, so it'd be 50 feet from the wetland, which is somewhere like this. And then this is all standing water. What's
Yes.
not shown is that there's, at the edge of the fence, there's a pipe outlet that outlets into a larger water course. So you would regulate 100 feet from, the water course that is not shown, just on the corner of the property.
Okay, so that'd be another thing, Mr. O'Connor, is if you could upgrade your drawing here to show both of those. So it's 50 feet, do a 50 feet offset from the wetland line, and then I don't know how you're gonna do it, but just try to draw 100 feet from that edge of that water course. Maybe just from the corner of the property, the bottom left corner of the property, Alexis, is it close enough? Or maybe the stone wall?
If you want.
Okay.
Yeah, it begins at the edge of the stone wall, if I recall.
So get out that compass, that we used to draw in school. Nobody remember what a compass is? Anyway. Okay, so if we can just, to keep the conversation rolling, Heather, to imagine the 50-foot. So I'm looking at trees that were removed, and
Yes.
I'm looking at grading that was redone. So, gosh, you know what? If I could download this, I can scratch on it, Alexis, in real time. Or all right, so maybe let's keep this going, because guys, we're losing Alexis at 7:30, and we've got a few others to go through. So I guess I would recommend you update this to show the 50-foot upland review area, update it to show the 100-foot water course upland review area, and be prepared to hear us say, okay, well, you've taken down a bunch of trees in those areas, and really to probably have the safest chance at getting approval from the commission would be to add maybe some bigger trees to your plan to replace what was taken out in the upland review area. So
Okay.
I can't tell you how many or how big or what. Well, I can't tell you how big. Alexis, we typically don't prefer anything smaller than 2-inch caliper at the trunk, or 6 feet tall.
1.5.
1.5. Okay.
Yeah. So the 1.5, I mean, you can propose whatever. Well, the agency has a history of requiring 1.5-inch caliper shade trees.
So by
Unfortunately, I
shade
don't
tree,
know what that is, unfortunately.
Okay, so it's the nursery stock size. So it's
Okay,
the size of the base of the plant.
Sure.
So like, you know, if
the
you
trunk of the
think of
tree
like a
in the
tree
pot.
that you pick up at a
Sure, yep.
nursery,
Yep.
the 1.5-inch diameter.
And by shade tree, she means, you know, basically something that's going to grow up big, not like some little, you know, decorative thing, something that's going to replace the canopy that was there previously, because that canopy was having an effect on the wetland and the water course. That's why we care about it. That's why, even though the action, most of the action wasn't happening within the wetland, what
Mhm.
happens around the wetland does make a difference.
okay.
Okay. All right. So we've got arborist letter. We've got updating the shrub and ground cover plan within the wetland. We've got shade trees in the upland review area. That's all I've got written down. Commissioners, I've talked a lot. Does anybody else want to chime in and suggest? I mean, well, how are we treating all that soil that's now just sort of exposed? The doggies, I'm sure, would love to run around and play mud wrestling in it, but how far, for example, commissioners, are we comfortable letting a lawn, the traditional lawn that's going to get cut and sprayed and whatever, how close are we comfortable with getting it, you know, to the wetland or within that upland review area? Anybody? Ed, did you unmute yourself?
Well, traditionally, we do the 50-foot setback.
So
I
you would
think-
say that the stones that he's got now that are just 5 feet off of the wetland, we'd push them out to 50 feet?
Yeah,
Okay.
You'd
Anybody
have
else?
to,
I'll pull up the
I just see the map. I think that it's
yeah,
what's
let me,
existing is there, like, but if we're, you know, we're talking about the mud pit, then maybe that's where we focus on.
Well, how far did the, you know, the
Let
scrubby
me,
underbrush stuff expand beforehand?
I'll pull up the aerial photos for you. Just give my internet a second. All right, let's see. So this is near map. So these have are updated fairly frequently. So here's West Rocks Road, property line. This is the fence that you see referenced. The rock wall is out here. There's Mr. Longo's machine. So you can see this is he had entered as they previously noted in September. This was taken October 1st, and this is kind of work in progress. And then so this is what it looked like previously. Again, you can see the stone wall here, and then there had been I think as previously described this is split rail fence, and at the edge of the fence there was kind of this undulating line of little stones that showed the kind of a demarcation between the lawn area and this other area that had some more trees in it, but certainly partially disturbed. I'll zoom in a little bit more. So this is in March, and I'm going to toggle back and forth between March is before leaf out. So we like that because there's no leaves on the trees, and you can see the ground itself, but there's no ground vegetation either. So here is the outlet and the start of the water course here, more or less in line with the fence. And then this is kind of what your typical wetland inundated wetland area looks like, and then we can go, so that kind of I think probably gives you the best idea of what was there. We can go back a little bit more in time. This is a year ago, September 2022. So this is the tree that's was in the center of the yard, and then a few more along the edges. But then you go back to in March 2022, and it looks pretty similar to the March 2023. You know, again, these lines of stones into the fence. What I'm not sure exactly is,
There's
know,
that stone wall down there that you see.
yeah, and here's the wall.
Yeah.
So what I don't know exactly is kind of where exactly that wetland line is. We know that it starts at the edge of
there.
the fence. So it's something like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, about that.
I don't know if, so in all the aerial photos, you can see there's these two rocks here. I don't know if those two large rocks were moved or not. I'll go back to those in our site photos.
think
We
that's
tried to
there,
go
right?
out to use those as a reference to measure where the wetland line is, but it seemed a little off. So maybe those were moved.
Can we go, Alexis, I'm sorry, Ms. Longo, did you have
Yep.
something about the stones?
No, I'm just trying to
Okay.
see the.
So can you go to 2023, Alexis, March 2023?
Yeah,
Okay,
is that
so-
are those the
these-
large stones? I can't-
Yeah,
Yeah.
And now that little stone, the meandering little stone border, so that's like gone now,
Those were
right?
just so those that looks like a stone wall. Those were just kind of like little 1 foot stones kind of
Got it.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep, got it. Okay, keep going, Alexis. So are we able to, so I'll just say right now that it looks like the yard was all lawn
Mhm.
historically
Correct.
up to that stone little curb, we'll call it for lack of a better word.
Right.
And so I personally would say, okay, well, just regardless of what we're doing with trees, I would be comfortable with letting what's going to be lawn, an expansion of the existing lawn. I'd be
Mhm.
comfortable letting it get relatively close to where it was previously.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that's not a decision. This is discussion, not decision.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just my opinion. But
I,
any other commissioners?
it looks like that area right outside of the wetland is not, I mean, is lawn.
Yeah.
For sure, it looks like it, but I don't know that that's, you know, you had these larger trees and all of that, and those are hard to establish. I would say if anything, we could, even if we push it up a little bit, like the lawn area, just to cover some of that, like that watery, mucky area with some shrubs or something. Otherwise, you're just, I don't think you're gonna, I don't know how much of that is really usable for a lawn anyway, sort of is my point. And if you push if you can help restore what the trees, you know, the what was taken down in any way, I think that would be helpful down there in that dark squishy area towards the bottom. So if we can move up some plantings down there, I think it would be helpful overall. We don't have to do the full 50 feet. I don't think you're gonna, I mean, you're at the house at that point almost, so.
Pretty much, yeah.
all right. So your 50
Okay.
feet is, we have a flag here
Correct.
at the end of the
The
wall.
silt fencing kind of traces that exact, yeah,
looks like
the
it.
rocks right there. So that's pretty much what exactly. I mean, Mr. Kenny pretty much hit the nail on the head right there with that delineation.
It's almost like whoever put those stones down knew
Some,
Mhm.
that was like the line.
I don't know who did it, but yeah. they
Yeah.
did something.
Oops.
I'm not saying that, it's, well, so what I'm getting at is, yeah, so Heather, what you said is, okay, we, try to maybe reestablish some sort of demarcation similar to what's being proposed now. Can you flip back exactly where you're going there, Alexis, please? To the
Yes,
To
please
right here?
translate
PDF.
Heather. See if you know what I
Please
mean.
translate Heather. Right. Okay. So right now we've got just kind of little stone or a little rock delineation, and it looks like a fence. And so that to me is sort of just like a little snip of what was there previously, maybe. So could we, for example, extend that up and to the left to the property line, similar to how it was before, and then do a little swoop to the right and bring it back again to the south property line, kind of how it was before, and even space them out maybe. I mean, in the previous application, they didn't have the molders right tight to each other. It's just sort of a visual reference for the line between
Just a demarcation.
demarcation. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A line between, hey, behind these rocks, we let it grow and do what it wants. But in front of the rocks, we can have lawn and, whatever.
Exactly. That's exactly. Thank you, Steve.
Hey, well, I can't say I said it all that succinctly, but I think we understand what's happening. So Mr. O'Connor, that's what I would suggest. As far as improving your chances for getting good results from us next time, is to sort of try to recreate that line. And then Heather, were you thinking that instead of plunking a tree in the middle of the yard where it was before, would you be up for having something a little closer to that demarcation?
Yeah, I was thinking that instead of, so that area of your lawn is sort of, I mean, who knows, but it's going into the wetland. It's kind of muddy and murky and all of that stuff, and it's not totally lawn usable, great lawn area. And instead of plunking down trees in the middle of the lawn, possibly including more shrubs that are in the area that's pushed out now, like from past the boulders a little bit, right? So if you move that boulder up line closer a little bit to the house, not the 50 feet, but something 10 more feet, whatever it is, having something that's plantings that are closer together and will help the soil and the erosion that is going into the wetland would probably be a better use.
Got it. Okay,
All right.
so we've got
So does,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to summarize
Okay.
what
Me too. Go.
you want me to go?
Yes,
So
please.
what I think I hear is that the commission is okay with the sketch maps. That's clear enough, but the content needs more work. They'd like to see a wider buffer than 5 feet from the wetlands. They'd like to see the wetland replanted more densely with shrubs and with a seed mix. And they would like to see replacement of some of the canopy trees. Those replacement trees should be closer to the wetland and within the buffer. You can there were kind of mixed information about the width of the buffer. You heard that you have a violation, and so now you're no longer maintaining it. Push it out 50 feet. You've heard close to the old little pebble line is okay, and then you've heard maybe a little bit more. So I would suggest, from my past experience, that you go down the middle and you have to get a majority of these guys on board and convinced that your restoration activity is going to negate the previous negative impacts to the wetland. So I think if you kind of return to your sketches and clarify that, and then the other request was to if you can get an arborist to back up the information about the health of the trees, that I think would help your cause.
Okay.
Just a question though, the request for the arborist, that's to address the health of the trees that were removed?
Yeah,
I was a little I was going to ask that.
gonna be tough.
Yeah,
Right,
'cause
so
it
the
says-
trees have been cut
it-
down and
They're cool.
the logs have been removed.
But if there's a replanting plan that's coming into play that we're gonna, ideally accept, do we need to do that?
That's what I was gonna actually ask.
Or
You're-
mute, Steve.
We can't hear you, Steve. So I'd say that it's,
Sorry, I'm game, that, fine. It was just something out, thrown out there as something we could rely on to justify it, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'll
I'm the
go with the
reason,
herd.
I'd rather them focus their energy
so
on.
if you were to, if you had
Yeah.
known that there was a wetland, and if you had, before the fact, come in to get a wetland permit, the commission kind of has to approach this as if you were coming in to ask to remove those trees. And if,
Right.
and if you were, they'd say, okay, well, give us an arborist's opinion.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But since that ship has sailed,
Correct.
Mr. O'Connor, do you have any other questions for us?
Seems like you guys outlined exactly what we need to get done.
Sweet.
Appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you,
Right.
everyone. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night. We got 17 minutes.
More or less. The council meeting starts at 7:30, but my item is not read at 7.
no, that's 7:30,
okay.
7:28, so you can go to the bathroom.
Understood.
Bond release / reduction request S21-569, 40 Princess Pine Road.
So this first one was a bond held for the plantings associated with the installation of above ground pool that was adjacent to the wetland watercourse. The plantings have been in place for more than 2 years, and the majority of them are alive and well, and so staff would recommend release.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Sure.
Matt got it. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Passes. Looks like there's another one for 40 Princess Pine Road. That's
Yes.
21-573.
This was a corrective action permit application that they received after they had submitted their application. They initiated, well, we went out to the site to look at the area and take site photos, as we always do, and that's when we realized that they had prepped the site already and cleared, so they were issued a corrective action application that was concurrent with their pool application that had the replanting of the wetland and buffer. That was done more than 2 years ago and is also doing well, and staff also recommends release.
Say it, Steve.
Mm-mm. You say it.
Motion. What am I motioning for, to
I
release the
iced
bond?
you. I
Huh?
move to release the bond. Too late.
Just
Second?
second,
just
I
wanna-
just did say it
Now
though. I
seconded.
did
Any
say it.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just making you feel bad for going on vacation to places warmer than here.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get my punishment in before you leave.
I'm going out in style though. Couldn't go out without any sort of drama before.
Yeah. January 9th meeting minutes. Sorry, Alexis.
And before we
Oh.
get to the minutes, I had one other item that I wanted to ask you about. This is a, I often bring items before you where it's I have a request either for the determination of permit need or for existing permits where maybe someone wants to tweak the conditions. This question has to do with the Costco and the hotel that you recently approved. If you recall, at Connecticut Avenue, they had proposed removal of the demolition of the existing DoubleTree, or the old DoubleTree Hotel,
Which is still there, by the way.
which is still there.
Because it was a
Um,
huge rush to get rid of it, but it's still
well,
there.
Well, so part of their delay is that they don't have sign-offs for that demolition yet.
But it's a hazard.
One of your permit requires the posting of a bond. The permit requires a $29,115,000 bond, and that's for the demolition of the hotel and the construction of the new parking garage. 23,595. So the majority of the bond is for the mitigative plantings that are proposed along the buffer. Because their permit combines both demolition and construction, I'm not signing off on their demolition permit until they post the bond. Their request is, because Costco is not posting the bond, their contractor is posting the bond. The request is, can the demolition contractor please post just the sedimentation and erosion control portion of the bond, which is $5,500, for now, for the demolition of the hotel. And then prior to construction, because they have not submitted, they haven't gone through to get any permits. They would have their approvals, but not their permits for construction. When they get the permit to construct, they would post the remaining of the bond. And
Costco
I don't
would.
know if they have a different contractor. They also have to repost the S&E, or we'll figure that out. So that's the request: is can they begin portions of the work, specifically just the demolition, as long as they post a portion of the bond which is held for sedimentation erosion controls. Are you
Yeah,
okay with
I
that?
don't have
It's your condition, so I
As
I'm
long
always
as there's a
very
process
clear.
in place for making
Yeah.
sure that, you know, we get
Yeah.
the rest of it. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Okay. They will
It's
be
two different agencies or two different.
thrilled. I don't know if there are
Probably.
two different, often there is a demolition contractor and a construction contractor. I
Someone's
don't
supposed to-
know in
okay.
this case. But
Yeah.
we
There's
will
no
work
need to
that
make
out.
it overly
cleaner.
complicated.
Okay. So continue on.
Oh,
Thank you.
I
thank
thought
you.
you were gonna say they came back with the demolition, the assessment of the retaining wall for some reason.
Oh, no, not yet. So they have 6 months from their approval, if I remember right. I have
Yeah,
to double check.
Which is, you,
Oh, you're gonna ask
okay,
me.
don't, no, it's okay. We want you to have time to freshen up before the next meeting. As long as you're keeping track, because it's in the back of my mind. I won't let you forget too.
I'm pretty much keeping track.
Okay. Okay, well, meeting minutes from January 9th. Does anybody review? I can take a look real quick.
I did quickly. They look fine. I can make a motion to approve them.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Red nails, you still have to vote. Okay. Great. Approved. Conservation initiatives. That's what you got there, Alexis?
So at the last meeting, a long time ago in January, we talked about amending the regulations to increase the upland review area from wetlands. And I think that I had mentioned that there might be some other edits that I wanted to add in, and I thought about it some more and decided no. So the materials that I sent you previously, which I can resend, have the regulations and the edits to do what you had talked about, which was to increase the upland review area. So I guess if you want to continue discussion on that, I don't know if there's consensus among you guys, or if you want to start the official process. There is a process involved with amending your regulations. Maybe when we have more time, maybe at the next meeting, we can commit to talk. I'll add that to your packet, and we can talk about the potential amendments to the regulatory language then, and then we can decide next steps.
That'd be wonderful.
I
Just
agree.
my opinion.
Makes sense.
Any other staff comments?
No, I'm just headed to the Common Council tonight because they are authorizing the mayor to sign 2 different grant awards. So, and I think I mentioned these before, but we received like 300 and some thousand to do Vets Park, and then 500 some thousand to do green infrastructure at the school. So that's why I'm leaving, just to show those off.
Nice job, Alexis.
Thanks.
Kudos.
Thank you.
Rock on.
Wait, I'm sorry, what was the second one?
The second one, the city is moving forward with the construction of a new elementary school in South
Yeah.
Norwalk at the old Hashton Bailey.
Yep.
And the streets there are all kind of bare, and all the stormwater currently discharges into a pipe that then outlets at the top of Village Creek. There's kind of this portion of Village Creek behind the industrial uses on the east side of kind of Woodward Ave and Meadow. And we're proposing to install green infrastructure, so trees and that kind of stuff to better capture and treat stormwater. And then we are looking at where it outlets and doing restoration activities to that salt marsh.
That's great. I didn't realize that was the second one. Thank you.
And this is all, these are all just design. This is all to figure out how to do it.
Right.
The actual doing is still off, but getting closer.
Alexis, this is probably a long answer, but is there any quick answer or a plan to do something about Water Street and all the flooding there?
Yes, no. So the Yukon's Circa Center, I can never remember their
Resiliency.
Circa, for resilience and sustainability. They have this Resilient Connecticut program where they're looking at resilience, flood resiliency and heat resiliency in pockets along the Connecticut, including South Norwalk. They completed that study, which looked at maintaining dry egress during flood events along portions of Water Street. It in particular looked at how do you get people that live on Harborview or Wilson Point or points to the south there, or including Village Creek, out from Woodward up to Water Street and then out towards Maine. An outcome of that study is the city is looking to issue an RFP to hire a consultant to look further at those scenarios. Hopefully the RFP would include design for raising the intersection at Burwell, Water, and the other street, whose name where it's kind of a triple intersection right now. Not Mac, I'm like blanking, but at kind of the end of Water Street. And then raising Concord, and then looking into a kind of a feasibility study for the northernmost portion of Water Street and what might be done there.
Okay. So the answer is raising streets, not building seawalls or anything. Or we don't know.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that we know the answer. So there's right, there's a hardening of the shoreline, so more seawalls or that's kind of a tough sell, honestly. Then there's raising the street, which solves the egress issues, but not kind of the other issues with having structures in an area that floods frequently. That would look at retreat, other options. You kind of have to decide, well, where are we going to make this line really of flood? At some point, you're going to have an area where there are development that is designed to be flood adaptive, right? So activities that can happen in an area that gets flooded. And then at some point, you're going to want to have development that is elevated so that it's not as impacted by flooding. But you really can't raise everywhere, right? That's an unrealistic goal. So that's part of the feasibility study that we're hoping to accomplish.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Hi, Reed. Well, keep up the good
Sorry
work.
for the dancing in the
Alexis.
background.
That's awesome.
Uh,
So that's it for
A
me.
little bit excited because we're going to Disney World tomorrow, so he's a little off his rocker at the moment.
Well, have a great trip. That's
Thank you.
exciting.
anything else, Alexis? I know it's kind of hard to focus when you got
I know. None for me.
Okay. Any commissioners? Thank you for attending tonight. Because it would have been rough to have 2 meetings in a row postponed because we didn't have a quorum. So thank you for, and be thinking of people. In fact, don't think of people. Find someone to join us so that there's less pressure on us to attend.
Well, I'm
okay.
fresh out coworkers. We can't do that anymore, so we need to move
Well,
past that.
you've got other. I've got neighbors. I actually I
neighbors.
drafted email today. I just never sent it. I'm going to send it right now to some Golden Hill folks to see if anybody's interested in contributing. So, okay. On that note, I will move to adjourn. Have a second.
Yes.
Heather,
second.
any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Have fun.
Too.